Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, folks, wherever the heck in the world you are. It is the notorious V, the Gorilla, coming to you live with my main man, the Algo Cowboy himself, the one and only man who is maintaining the airwaves, making sure the broadcast is coming out crispy and clean. You know what I mean? Check us out, Rogue News, on every single podcasting app, No to Humanity, every platform we're out there. You can find us, plus a bag of chips. And also check out our paid sponsor, AlgoFactory.tech, AlgoFactory.tech. Learn to trade like a hedge fund pro. Learn to trade like a hedge fund pro, AlgoFactory.tech. They're giving away a free algorithm for you to try out. Just go to AlgoFactory.tech and try it out. Learn to trade like a hedge fund pro. Learn to prosper in the chaos. AlgoFactory.tech. And with that being said, Cowboy, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Oh, dude, doing stellar. Quick note on the Algo, that free Algo. I build it. I show you how to turn it into code by using Grok AI, and then I show you how to put that code on the screen. So it's like an indicator that you literally invent. And then I show you what the like the bot traders, the guys who have the computer trade while they're on the golf course or while they're sleeping. I show you the tools they use to connect an algo to their exchange to do that. Now, just a quick note, it's like you need to optimize it and make it profitable. So I wouldn't just do that. But quick note in the algo. Anyway, I'm doing pretty good. I know we're getting some comments on the thumbnail for today's show.
Right. That thumbnail is the personification of America First, Cowboy. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if the audience knows that. But nothing says America First than having Javier Milei in the most racy of lingeries on a stripper pole with Trump throwing cash at him. Because that's what's happening. That's a symbol of America First, bro.
Well, I mean, it would fit kind of what was going on, say, from 2016 through, now, but especially before Trump was in. It's just throwing money at prostitutes. I think it's a little more complex than that, but it makes for a good meme.
It most certainly does. I'll break this story down. A lot of you guys heard about the 20 billion, and I think right now at this point it's probably closer to 40 billion that's been given over to Argentina. And did you hear about that 20 billion going to Argentina, Cowboy?
Oh yeah, 20 billion in, I think, cash, and actually it's swap lines, and then which swap lines are basically a way for them to take their currency, which is pretty worthless and inflates very quickly, and then flipping it to U.S. currency. So it's basically free money, and then it makes us have the burden of the 20 billion of their currency, which I don't know how quickly it deflates. But the other bit is that there are another
quickly deflates in minutes.
Yeah, and then there's another 20 billion in future money. I think that I'd have to get some definition on that. Let me see here. Private sector. So it's an additional 20 billion from private sector, but I think it is contingent on Milei winning his next election,
which is not looking pretty good. It's not looking good, bruv.
It's not looking good, bruv.
It's not looking good, bruv. Okay, I'm gonna break down this whole 20 billion thing and this 40 billion thing and what this whole entire scam is all about. Okay, everybody's talking about it's a mission critical thing. I think he's doing a great job down in Argentina. And if we don't bail him out, it's going to be death. You understand? People are dying out there. There are people that are dying. And I can't let people die. I'm the president that doesn't do any dying of people unless they're Palestinians and Ukrainians. Then I don't have a problem. Yes. All right. When Milei came to power, we all know that Argentina was a basket case, an absolute basket case, right? And we knew that, when Milei won, a lot of Wall Street money went into, a lot of BlackRock money, a lot of Israeli money, a lot of money went into Argentina, specifically the Argentinian bond market. Okay. And one of those guys that was there was Rob Citron. Rob Citron is a hedge fund manager in Argentina. And Rob Citron happens to be very, 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 very good close friends with, guess who? Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent, the one and only Secretary of Treasury. Okay. And so the 20 billion that they've been telling, oh, it's so critical, it's to help out the Argentinian people, it's to, stop them from no. We are in the business of bailing out banksters. We're in the business of bailing out banksters. We've been doing it since 2008, and we haven't stopped. We've been doing it over and over and over again. It is crony capitalism at its best, folks. Crony capitalism at its best. We cannot let a bankster fail. You have Americans right now. I've seen videos where, let me see if I can pull up one video. This is so telling. Where you have, give me 1 second as I pull this up, my friend. Yes. This is from, oh yeah, here we go. No, it's not that. Yeah, here we go. Okay. This is a clip, okay, of what Americans are facing. I'm just gonna jump to the meat and the potatoes of it. Now, you guys know there's a lot of back and forth with the Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, this, that, and the other. The Affordable Care Act is a mixed bag. It helps some people and it hurts some people. Okay, it's a mixed bag. The entire American health care system needs to be overhauled. The whole thing needs to be thrown out. We should have a completely revamped. I'm not going to get into healthcare, but I'm just going to highlight this, and that's another conversation for another day. But I'm going to highlight this as a topic to talk about. Of what,
while you're thinking of that topic, healthcare really doesn't cost what it is costing.
Exactly.
So it's really simple. It really is very cheap when you don't have all these insurance companies, the middlemen involved.
Bingo.
So healthcare just needs to be gutted of its waste.
Correct. All right, let's get this going.
My name is Carla Zimmerman. I just retired in June from 25 years of teaching.
My name is Bartley Armitage. I've been in Eugene, Oregon most of the 45 years. I was a union carpenter for over 30 years and still a member of the Carpenters Union.
Our current premium is $443 a month.
Through the ACA.
Through the ACA, and which is manageable for us, both retirees. However, it's going up to $2,224 a month. We are kind of in shock. That's without the subsidy. With the subsidy, it's manageable for us. We still live paycheck to paycheck, but it's manageable.
And the way the subsidy works, folks, it's like if your healthcare cost is $1,000 a month, the government gives you $500, you pay $500. That's the way it worked with the Obamacare, with the Affordable Care Act. Okay.
Affordable Care Act, we sort of counted on that in the interim period as retirees to sustain our health care. Without the subsidy, we honestly don't know what we're going to do.
Without the subsidy and with that kind of increase, it's like buying another house and trying to pay for two houses at the same time. Yeah, so we don't know what we're going to do exactly. We don't know how we're going to have some health insurance and be able to afford it on a monthly basis.
The thing that gets me the most is that both of us have worked our whole lives. I always had faith that our government would, when we retired.
The government, that our leaders would have a heart and try to find a way to help everyday Americans.
Nope.
Well, if they're retirees, can't they go on Medicare?
I don't know. I don't know what no, you have to meet a certain income to be on Medicare.
I mean, they should just start paying that health premium and deduct that, and then they'll be eligible. If you can deduct healthcare at all.
I don't think you can. But this millions of Americans are facing this now. Right now. Right? But hold on. We have to send the help to Ukraine. And I'm going to get into the whole Ukraine situation and what Donald and his 3D chess is getting us into. Okay? And we have to help Israel. We gave them beautiful weapons. They know how to use those weapons. And we have to help Argentina. The people are dying there. They're dying. They're dying. And look at these are the look, man. Not everybody is a politically engaged news hound like we are, and the audience is here. But these are everyday average Americans who literally bought into the bullshit that government will take care of you. And sad that this is happening. But this should be a wake-up call for everybody. Government don't give a rat's ass about you. They don't give a fuck about you. All they care about is running their Ponzi scheme. All they care about is keeping the grift going, keeping the graft flowing, and keeping the money flying. That's all they care about. And they don't care if you can't afford your medical bills. They don't care that the average American is 2 paychecks away from being homeless. They don't care that young millennials and the next generation of kids and Gen Z and whatnot, all these guys that are coming up, they can barely afford their apartments. They can't ever buy a house. They can give a rat's or ass. Gen Z and Gen X ain't buying houses. Who cares? BlackRock will. BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard and Blackstone. Oh, yeah, these guys will buy all the homes and they'll rent it back to you. You own nothing and be happy. They don't care about that. These are not civilization builders. These are not people that know how to build countries. These are con men and con artists and crooks. And they're raping this country blind. They don't care about the average person. Like, this should infuriate you. That you have people, this could be your neighbor next door. Yeah, he's not an out-the-box thinker like you. Yeah, he doesn't have multiple streams of income and establish himself. No, there are a lot of people that just don't have the capacity to do that. Some people just have to go work a job, and that's totally cool. And they're the ones that keep this country moving. And we have to take care of them. We have to have a civic responsibility to take care of them.
So, where's everybody's retirement right now?
I have no idea, man.
Sure you do.
Oh, of course. It's private equity, man. BlackRock and whatnot.
So what happens if BlackRock and everybody else falls?
Their pensions are gone.
That's right.
Their pensions are gone. I consulted with one of five of the most solvent pension funds in the country. One of the five. And that pension fund was the Fresno, California, Fresno Police and Fire Department Fund. They were 106% funded. New York is only like 22 or 23% funded. Ohio is like in the negatives. Why? Because private equity ran it into the fucking ground. Right? So it's unbelievable what's happening. There's no retirement anymore. Didn't Obama open up what's called MIRA, where it's my IRA, where now private equity can have access to your 401k and do with it as they please?
Right? I didn't hear that, but I'm not surprised if he did. He would. Yeah. That guy's I don't want to start. Go ahead.
But they all are. It's just not Obama. Yeah, they all are.
Let me ask you this, though, and let's get back to it. What happens if BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard, what happens if they fall? What happens to everybody's pensions?
It's gone. It's vaporized.
So, I mean, these investments and this money going here, the list of companies who actually have business in Argentina, you got Lockheed Martin, JP Morgan, B of A, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup. Those are the banks. U.S. Treasury has, debt-based things going on there. Foreign military financing. You do have other like oil companies. I listed them. Chevron is one of them. It's not as big, but there is energy business down there. But it's really military industrial complex and banking who have interest down there, right? Reported value for Lockheed Martin as far as their business is almost $1 billion, right? JP Morgan and all of that. Let me see here. I got the information, and a lot of this is actually opaque. We're not really allowed to know, right? But you're looking at 40 million, 50 million, $1 billion. So what is happening is that these companies are shoring up what they have going on down in Argentina. And if these companies take too big of a loss, the stock market goes down, everybody's retirement goes down. So what we're, I think, caught in is just like an irreversible gravity pull into a black hole And we're just trying to slow down the descent into the black hole. And that's all that we can do until things fall apart.
Yep.
And that whenever you're fighting a war, especially a war of attrition, sometimes it's better to just drag it out. And that way you can strategize while the enemy, is not able to hit you quite as hard. I don't think this is I think it's a greed thing. And I think that if there was a way to get rid of the greed, then we could do it. But do you really expect to see like the head of Goldman in handcuffs ever?
Never.
No.
Forget the head of Goldman. What? Larry Fink.
Larry
what
Fink?
A name. Larry Fink. He looks like a cartoon villain. He looks like a rat. He absolutely looks like a rat. Larry Fink, an absolute villain from BlackRock, right? And he's like, "Oh, I can't wait for the tokenization of real world assets." Yeah, everything's on a fucking token. Everything, including your life, will be on a token, on a blockchain somewhere. It's disgusting, right? And these average poor slobs right here. Let me just finish up this video.
I would say is this government should be about we the people.
No, ma'am, they're not.
Not about some.
Some boomers are waking up to this, and these late Gen Xers are starting to wake up to this now. A little too late, but you're starting to wake up to it.
So where's the money going to come from to fix the problem?
Print, baby, print. If they even do that, or they just simply can't, because things have reached mission critical here. Right?
They're going to, and I said this on the show with Gus, the only way, and I hate to say this, I had a high school teacher. I had a couple of really good economics professors, which is, interesting. And they were very prescient. And one of them said that everything is going to end up blowing up financially. And the only way it's going to get fixed is if we're kind of like the country is put into a cast, like a cast for a broken arm, into a cast of socialism until things get fixed. And if you want to talk about taking these private companies, arresting people or not, taking the $50 million golden parachutes away from these, CEOs that like probably to touch people under a certain age, doing that, the whole system will fall apart doing that. The system is based on that. So if you want to fix the problem, there's going to be a big cost now, or there's going to be a big cost later. And I don't think you're going to see any like major things happen right now because not enough people are upset, and it's just, what is it going to take for people to get upset enough?
Anger is starting to build, but it hasn't reached critical mass.
People have food, people have shelter, and
Right,
there will always be a way to provide people with food and shelter. We saw that in the pandemic, outside of some really extreme circumstances. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to happen where it's like everything falls apart so hard, we get a socialism situation. And then the vigilant of the country will have to be able to get us out of it once all of the fat is cut and everything is rearranged. And
the only reason they'll bring socialism around, or socialism light, or where the hell they put out there, is for the one thing that the banksters have to do in a situation like this, which is austerity. Severe austerity, the likes of which people haven't experienced since the Great Depression. That's what's ahead for all of us, guys.
For sure. And understand that it's probably going to start with Europe.
Yeah.
If Europe falls, and it's probably going to dissolve. I mean, fall, I don't mean like, Europe falls like in a wartime situation. I'm talking about their financial situation just falls apart. The euro is no longer a thing. You're going to see absolute contagion. Do we have more debt in Luxembourg? I think it is, or it might be. Yeah, I think it's in Luxembourg than like China and Japan have combined. People don't understand that. Oh, China and Japan are the biggest holders of our debt, maybe the biggest sovereign holders. Japan with about $1 trillion, and China been selling supposedly at a clip of 50 billion a month. They're down to 800,000 the last I heard, and that's 1.8 trillion. But if you look at, I think, like I said, in Luxembourg, I think it's like $3 or $4 trillion in U.S. debt just sitting there.
Okay.
So we must understand we are like Europe is the problem. And I think what they've been depending on, like these, the people who we call the cabal, the the people who we call Davos, whatever, they've been depending on the fact that we cannot allow them to fall, because if their economy fails, our economy fails. But it might be understood that that is a toxic relationship, to use millennial terms, and we just have to let it fall. And what I think is going on right now is that is inevitable, and we're marching towards that cliff. And I think that, and I know everyone's going to fucking hate me for saying this, but I think everything Trump is doing is setting it up so that when that all happens and there's a big fat gutting, there's going to be something on which we can build afterwards. And I don't think there's anything that's going to stop the crash. And I know Trump wants to stop the crash, but I think Trump knows he cannot stop it, but he has to talk the game. That's what I think is going on.
Besson calls 20 billion lifeline to Argentina a mission critical function of Treasury. The U.S. Treasury right now, the U.S. Treasury, I can't even believe I'm saying this. The U.S. Treasury is bailing out foreign countries. Like, what alternate reality are we living in, Matt? Right? Finalizing a $20 billion lifeline to Argentina using taxpayer funds. That's right. You don't get health care. You don't get the things becoming more affordable. You don't get that. 20 billion. 20 billion. We gotta help them. It's to help the people, man. His remarks came in response to a letter from Senator Elizabeth Warren, she's a scumbag anyway. But anyway, ranking member of the Senate Banking Committee, who wrote to Besson a week prior, requesting an explanation as to why the Treasury Department was working on Argentinian lifeline during a shutdown of the federal government that has restrained resources. We've been forced to prioritize mission-critical efforts necessary to the discharge of the president's constitutional duties. I don't know, you know this, Cowboy, but the president of the United States has a constitutional duty to save Argentina. I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, no, I knew that for sure. No,
Yeah?
I'm just kidding. No, I was joking.
We have been forced to prioritize, including national security and global financial stability, right? Because we do a lot of trade with Argentina, don't we, Cowboy? I mean, a lot of trade. In fact, yeah, so much trade. In fact, we trade practically nothing with them. Soybeans, right? If that, like nothing. Okay, Argentina and America practically has nothing in trade. So why are we bailing them out? The 20 billion lifeline framework Besson announced earlier this month is known as a currency swap, which gives Argentina's central bank the ability to exchange pesos for dollars. Oh, that's great. They get the benefits of the dollar, and we take all the risk of their pesos. It's a wonderful system. The American taxpayer is left holding the bill. Again. You see, they like to socialize the risk and privatize the profits, Cowboy. That's what it is. Socialism for risk for you and capitalism and profits for me. That's right. Doing so can help stabilize the financial markets by injecting more liquidity effectively through a loan from the U.S. government. The Argentine peso has significantly devalued against other currencies since President Javier Milei, a close ally of President Donald Trump, suffered major defeats in local elections. That's right. Raising doubts that he'll hold on to his legislative majority in the midterm elections, because Javier Milei, even though he took a chainsaw to all this government waste, he's basically was a guy standing on a stool with a chainsaw, and he was chainsawing off his own legs. The stool's legs, he was cutting it off, and now he's on the floor crying, and he needs a bailout. But on top of the questions that Trump has faced on the rationale for the economic rescue of the South American country, a looming concern is whether his efforts have been successful. The answer is no. The $20 billion goes to not the people of Argentina. It doesn't go to the government of Argentina. It goes to the hedge funds that hold Argentinian debt in order to bail them out. That's it.
Nope.
That's it. Because it's a big club, Cowboy.
You ain't in it.
That's right. Gus texted me. I sent this whole entire thing to Gus. I sent Gus the thumbnail that you created with Trump and Milei, and he started laughing. He's like, the thing he said was, I've asked Argentinians. Let me just read this so I get this right. Where Yeah, I asked Argentinians, quote, where did he send your country's gold? Not a single person could answer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe, and I quipped, well, maybe that gold that Milei sent to God knows who wound up with our little friends in the Levant. Maybe went to the same place as 34 tons of Ukrainian gold, which was smuggled out of the country in the middle of the night. Maybe wound up there as well. The same place as that, cowboy. And what is that place? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That place is our little friends in the Levant. Oh, yeah. Unbelievable.
Oh, I've got the image of the day here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give me 1 second. That is all you need to see.
There you go. There he is, hugging the fake wall of Fort Antonia.
Yeah.
The Roman fort. This is the biggest joke there is. And if you're a Christian, you should hate that wall. If you're a Christian and you go to Israel, you should pee on that wall. Because that wall is a middle finger to Jesus Christ. I don't think you guys know that. I don't think you evangelicals wrap your little brains behind that, right? Let me explain to you evangelicals what that wall represents, right? That wall is a middle finger to Christ. If you read the New Testament, evangelicals, and the prophecy that Christ gave about the temple of Jerusalem, the prophecy was that not a single stone shall be left one on top of another, but it shall all be destroyed and will not be rebuilt to the coming of the Son of Man. Right? Meaning he prophesied the destruction of the temple 20 some odd years before it happened. This is how the biblical account goes. So having this, and he said, not one stone will be laid upon the other. And of course, the Roman general Titus, when he came into Jerusalem 20 some odd years later, that's exactly what the Romans did. They laid it to the ground. Not one stone was left upon the other. That's the real temple. So having the fort, the Roman fort of Antonia, a wall that's still left there after the warfare that has occurred in that region, is a part of that the Roman fort that still stood. These idiots conned the entire world into letting them into saying that this is the wall of the Temple of David, and it's not. And world leaders, like a bunch of idiots, go ahead and pledge their fealty to this stupid wall. This wall is a middle finger to Christianity. I hope you realize that, evangelicals. I hope you realize that. That is why it's your mission that the next time your church group goes and visits the wall, that you talk to your church group so that all the men can line up against the wall, just like Javier Milei. Put your forehead out. Put your forehead against the wall. Put your hands against the wall. And make sure your shillelagh is out and you pee on that wall. All of you. Pee on it. That's what you need to do. Okay? Because that's what's happening. This is like absolutely, this is a mental illness, bro. I have no other way to describe it. It's a mental illness. Anyway. You have, what else is on your radar, cowboy?
Oh, I had just kind of dug deep and figured out who's involved down there in Argentina, but in reality, like, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. And in the end, I don't think any of this. One of the reasons that I got involved with Rogue back in 2016, right? When I first, I think my first thing I did with Rogue was what was it? The gold, my gold USB.
Yeah,
I still have it.
Great product.
I still have that. I'll have to send you a photo of it. It was a pragmatism with Rogue, right?
Yeah,
so
all this time I'm thinking that you fell in love with me, but damn.
Well, we were not going to talk about that, V. We're supposed to be Christian type. Like, I know I'm not. You're definitely Christian. I'm kind of, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I'm always a we'll see guy with spirituality, but we're definitely not gay. I mean, falling in love with each other is like a not gay thing. Okay. So no, just joking. The reality though is I got involved with the Rogue because of the pragmatism.
Yep.
It's always been that, hey, there's going to be things that we cannot control. What are we going to do to make money?
That's it.
You know, and I would say it's healthy to know what the problem is. Like, in fact, it's necessary. If you can point things out like this stuff, right? Like, okay, we see this happening, we know what it's about, and they're holding up these things in the grift and all that. Sure, you know, it's good to know these things. I think that it's equally as important not to spend too much time being black pill about it and figuring out what we're going to do to preserve our own wealth. And honestly, I think it's going to come down to local communities. Like, you know, where I'm at, I've got guys like EM, you know, Ben Keller, and those are two guys who happen to live in this area. They also happen to have a pretty broad footprint on the internet as well. You know, I know my neighbors, and it all comes back to the old, you know, conversation about like prepping, but I'm kind of with Tom Luongo, not in trusting the plan, but in understanding that even though there is a plan, it may not go as planned, but we just have to understand kind of what the plan is so we can benefit or avoid harm. And that's what this is about.
Right.
You know, it's not about like, oh, I mean, we know it's a fucking scam. It's always been, excuse my language. It's always been a scam. It'll never not be a scam. There's nothing new under the sun. The only difference between now and 50 years ago, well, there's a few differences, but the main one is that we have the internet and we can see the scam and we can all talk freely and we can have our own, like basically our TV show on the internet, and some truth is getting out. And I think that truth will eventually cleanse everything. But I think the hundreds of years of trash that has been built up will need to wash itself out. And I don't think there's much that any of us could do about it except to profit from it. And that's my final thoughts.
Very well said. And that's all I have, man. That's all I have.
Yeah, just don't get emotional. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's okay to get emotional at times. Like, don't get me wrong, we're not robots. But if we find ourselves like wallowing in it and being emotional for the sake of being emotional, I think you're going to find that that's detrimental to your progress. Then that really is my final thought.
Very well said. And with that being said, Cowboy, we're at the end of the show. We will be back next Monday. We'll be back Monday. Keep it locked and loaded right here. roadnews.com. Take it away, Cowboy.